Hello friends, SentinalH here, and welcome back to our Applied Energistics 2 tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to introduce we're going to introduce more than that, but to begin with, we're going to introduce two more useful blocks, and I'm going to show you how you can use those to automate the crafting of pure crystals. Another very useful thing to do. Now, this particular design I didn't come up with myself. It was actually created by the developer of Applied Energistics 2. But I'm going to show you how to build it. And you can also find his tutorial. I'll link it in the description, which is a series of Imgur images. Okay, so the blocks that we're going to take a look at are the annihilation plane and the formation plane. They actually work quite simply. Let me grab like some sticks, for example. The annihilation plane will deconstruct anything that touches it and put it into the ME system, whereas the formation plane will take items from the ME system and throw them out into the world. Or in the case of blocks, you can tell it whether to throw it out or place it. Now, to do that, we right-click on our Crystal Growth Accelerator, and we can put things in the this whitelisted GUI of the formation plane. What am I talking about? Formation plane. I'm weird. And then if we chuck that item into this annihilation plane, you can see it pops out the formation plane. Pretty cool. Now let's take a look at how to craft these things. The crafting recipe for both is almost identical. To craft it messed it up. That's how you do it. To craft the annihilation plane, you take 3 Fluix crystals. They don't have to be pure. They can be the standard ones as well. 2 iron ingots and an annihilation core. Now, you have one guess as to how you craft the formation plane. You guessed it. It's exactly the same recipe, except it uses a formation core. The 3 Fluix crystals, 2 iron, and a formation core. Alright? So, super simple recipes. Now, these are pretty powerful. It's important to note that there's no GUI on the annihilation plane. You can't whitelist items. You can't tell an annihilation plane to only annihilate these items. It will just take whatever touches it and put it into the system. Now, if I look at the formation plane, you can see I've got some stone in here, which is a block that can be placed in the world. There's a button here that says block placement. You can toggle between having it drop blocks as an item or place them as a block. There are slots for upgrades, notably capacity upgrades. As you can see, there's more storage space, as well as other upgrades, which we'll talk about very soon. But if I take a piece of stone and I throw it against my annihilation plane, the formation plane will place it in the world. However, if I change this and I grab another stone block, it will instead throw the stone block out into the world in its item form. So if you're going to throw blocks out of a formation plane, make sure you have selected the appropriate setting here for your application. Of course, it's also important to note that because you can only set this in one direction, you can't have a different setting for different blocks. Alright, so that's the annihilation plane and the formation plane. Now we need a few other things, well, one other thing, in order to get our auto crafting of seeds going. We're going to need to upgrade our formation plane with a card. That card being the fuzzy card. Because you have to whitelist everything in the formation plane. If we try to put seeds in there, you can see that without an upgrade, it'll only accept seeds at 0%. Okay? What the fuzzy card allows you to do is it allows the machine, the block, the whatever, to ignore damage states. Okay? So to craft the fuzzy card, we first need to craft an advanced card, which is similar to the basic cards, but more expensive. You get 2 advanced cards for the recipe of 1 calculation processor, 1 redstone dust, 2 diamonds, and 3 iron ingots. Then, to craft the fuzzy card, and this is one of the most hilarious crafting recipes I think I've seen. You take an advanced card and add a piece of wool. Get it? So it's literally fuzzy. We're literally making the card fuzzy. But you can see that the fuzzy card can go on the formation plane, import-export buses, level emitters, storage buses, storage cells, the matter cannon, and the view cell. We're going to use it on the formation plane. If I go over here, you can see that we can slot it in, and it adds another setting, fuzzy comparison. It starts at match any, which means that it won't care about damage states. So for example, with our seeds, it doesn't matter what percentage of growth they're at, it'll still throw them out. And you can also split at damage at 99%, 75%, 50%, 25%. So for tools and other items with damage states, you can tell it at what damage state this formation plane will no longer accept it. And that's the same for anything that you put this on, it'll add this little button. Okay, cool. Let's grab our fuzzy card, and let's come over here and see how this system works before we build it. So this end will look familiar. It's exactly the same as the other auto crafting setup that we did. It's got an interface attached to an interface block. The interface block has patterns in it. There's a storage bus coming out the top so that it takes whatever is coming out of here and throws it back into the system. The important bit is that we've got a formation plane on this end that will put items up into the flowing water, and an annihilation plane at this end which will take items touching it and throw it back into the system. If that item happens to be a seed, it'll automatically get shoved back out the formation plane, and we've got crystal growth accelerators along the length of the water flow that will be accelerating the growth of the seed as it travels through the water. So if we go into here, I've already got it all set up. I can hit craft on these pure Certus quartz crystals, tell it to craft it however many I want, hit next, hit start, and the formation plane will dump a whole bunch of seeds, 10 seeds to be exact, into the system. If I look in my chest, you can see I have 10 less seeds. Now, these seeds will continuously cycle between the formation and annihilation planes, because the formation plane has a much higher priority on it, really, than this over here. Basically, because the formation plane is actively requesting seeds, when the seeds go through here, they will get sent to here. Now, once these seeds are fully grown, they'll no longer be requested by the formation plane. They'll go to the storage bus, which is on the low, which has lower priority, and it will get put back into the interface and into our system. Now, this is going to take a while, just because it takes a while to grow seeds. Now, you can speed this up a bit more if you want to add more growth accelerators. Now, obviously, for the purposes of this, I picked them up. Darn it. Obviously, for the purposes of this tutorial, we don't want anything on the top layer, but when you build this, you can very easily add 3 more crystal growth accelerators to the top, just to make it a bit faster. Yep, I totally screwed that up by picking up the seeds. I need to chuck those back in here. Not that it matters, but they should continue to pop out. Yep, and there you go. So now let's build this thing. So the simplest, it's actually pretty simple to build. The first thing we need to do is decide how long we want our array of crystal growth accelerators to be. Now, you need at least 2, just because of the way that they affect crystal growth. If you have fewer than 2, it's not really going to work. Now, you don't need any growth accelerators. This system will work without them. It'll just take a ridiculously long time to craft. These can be up to 7 blocks long. Okay? And that's because of the length of, the water flow. So let's just go ahead and do it at the maximum length for this demonstration here. And make sure you place them like this, sideways, so that don't place them up like this. You want these bits to be horizontal. And the reason is that these will pass power and actually data all the way through them, as long as you have them pointing horizontally into one another. So we're going to set that up. And then it's a very simple matter of putting our formation plane on this side and our annihilation plane on the other side. So we're going to connect it like this and place our formation plane facing up. Now the reason that you place it facing up is because, I need that actually, is because the formation plane will place an item approximately 1 meter ahead of it, in front of it. When there's water here, that means it'll place it roughly in the middle of the water block. If we look over here, if this is still running, it's not still running, I think it's done. It pops it up almost to the top of the block. Okay? So by doing that, it'll go into the middle of the water. Okay? Pretty cool. We're going to place just a block at the end here to block off the water when we place it down later. And we also need to place our cable on this end. I'm using smart cable just so you can see the channels, but you obviously don't need to use smart cable. I don't need those blocks. I need to put one here. You can use basic cable, it doesn't have to be smart. And place our annihilation plane like this. It needs to be sideways because that's where, you know, the seeds are going to hit it from this direction, and they're going to flow over here. They're going to run into the plane and get annihilated. Okay, now we'll place our water bucket. Boop. As you can see, it floats all the way down here, and they will still be growing at this end. Don't worry about it. As we can see, the water is flowing all the way from this beginning. It'll pop up into the source block, and then the entire length of this, the growth will be being accelerated. Okay? Great. Now we have our next step. We place a cable here, and we need to put a couple of things on this block. We have, oh, I have 2 of these. We need to place a ME interface here to act as a crafting buffer. We need to place a storage bus up here to take the items that are the finished crystals and pop them into this block, the ME interface. Okay? So we have an interface part, a storage bus, and an ME interface block. Okay? Very necessary. Now I'm going to slap in my power supply. Obviously, this power supply will just be the rest of your ME network. For me, it's going to be a creative energy cell, which I'm going to slap some cable on. And then we're just going to, for the purposes of this tutorial, slap on the rest of these blocks. But you're going to already have some form of storage on your network, and you're going to need at least a 1K crafting storage CPU. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to steal the storage cell and pop it in. Obviously, this is just a stand-in for the rest of your ME network. And I'm also going to place a pattern terminal on here so that I can program the patterns and request our crafting. Now, you'll notice that nothing on this side of the interface is powered. In order to fix this, we need to use some quartz fiber cable. Remember, we want this side of it to be on a sub-network, not attached to our main network. So we need to use quartz fiber when attaching this so that it only transmits power, not data. Okay? Now, it might not look like it. It might be difficult to tell, but there is no data transfer happening between this side and this side. You can tell by looking in your storage. If we didn't use that quartz fiber cable, the ME formation plane would be sucking out all of these seeds. Because it's on a subnetwork that we're going to be feeding based on our crafting, that won't happen. So if you notice that all your seeds got sucked out of your system and it's currently running, that's why you didn't use quartz fiber cable there. Okay, now let's make our well, before we make our patterns, we need to come over to our formation plane and we need to program it. Right click on the formation plane, place the fuzzy card into a slot. You don't need to adjust the setting at all. And then place one of each seed in the whitelist. Boom. Because of the fuzzy card, this formation plane won't care at what percentage of growth the seeds are at. It'll just see it. Oh, it's a seed. Give it to me. With that done, we can come over here and program our patterns. Now you need to switch your button over here from a crafting pattern to a processing pattern. We're going to place our blank... No. Get out of there. Place our blank patterns up here. And we're going to tell the system that 1 seed equals 1 crystal. So 1 nether quartz seed equals 1 pure nether quartz crystal in code. Clear it. 1 Certus quartz seed equals 1 pure Certus quartz crystal. Encode it. Clear it. And 1 Fluix seed equals 1 pure Fluix crystal. Code it. Now we have our patterns. If I hold shift, you can see we've got 1 for Fluix, 1 for Certus, and 1 for Nether. Make sure you check each one and make sure that it's 1 to 1. Go into our block, the ME interface block, and put these patterns in it. Now, when we look at this terminal, we'll see that there are, we can craft these things. If I pull this off of there, you can see it better. We now have these things craftable. Put this back in. So it'll work just like the one over there. When we tell it to craft, it'll pull seeds out, it'll pop them through the formation plane, and as they travel through, they'll grow, and they'll pop in there. Now, we could just, test this out, and I'll just craft one to show you. We'll craft a Fluix crystal. You probably don't want to craft one at a time just because of how long it takes. Where is it? Don't see it. Oh, I didn't hit start. I'm a fool. Make sure you actually... Oh, I did hit start. Well, where is it going? Why is it not working properly? I don't see a seed. Did it fall off? No. Something's going on. It's got plenty of Fluix seeds. Let's cancel that. Try it again. Oh yeah, it's still doing it. Let's just do that. Okay. Something happened there. Let's try crafting this again. Why isn't it working? It should be working. It's exactly the same as the one over there. Interface, interface, storage bus. Everything's being passed through the crystal growth accelerators. Information plane is online. It's got the seeds in it. It's got the fuzzy card. It should be working. What's happening with the cells? I mean, the seeds. Why are they not making it into the system? But I gotta figure out why this isn't working, because there's no reason why it shouldn't be working. It worked over there. Let's pop a co-processing unit on this thing, so I can craft something else. Okay, let's do that. Again, what's going on? Well, in that case, it didn't even take one. Didn't even take a seed. Strange. It didn't even pull any seeds out. Nothing's been put into the formation plane. Okay, this is weird because it should be working. It's set up exactly the same as this one, down to the very last block. ME interface, storage bus, interface with patterns, quartz fiber. Yeah, it's exactly the same in every way. Except for how long it is. But that won't matter. So why is it not working? Give me that. See, that's working. So why didn't it work over here? Weird. I can't see any reason for that to not work. But let's make sure we gotta get this working for you guys. So we got plenty of seeds. That's not the problem. Something. You don't have to configure the storage bus at all. You don't have to configure this ME interface. You just have to put the patterns in here and it works. There's no problem with how long this is. And the formation plane is online. There's no items in there. It's not like it's waiting for anything. It's just not spitting the items out. Start. There we go. Wait, where is it getting the extra seeds? Oh! Okay, something's happening. It's, I see what's happening now. So, it's taking the seeds out and shoving them through, but then the seeds are getting pulled right back in. Let's go ahead and, go over to our formation plane. How does priority work? Is it based on how high the number is? Let's change the priority on this. We need to cancel that job. Craft 10 next. Start. And they go right back in. Okay, so let's change the priority on this. Make sure that the storage bus isn't pulling all of our items back in. Because that's what's happening. The storage bus is taking all of our seeds back. Okay. Gotta go cancel this. Oh. Craft this. Start. There we go. Okay. I didn't have to do that over there. Adjust the priority. But apparently, when it's this long, you do. I'm glad we discovered that. So, if that's happening to you, give the formation plane a higher priority than your storage bus. Alright. Well, we learned something today. Now it's working. Okay, let's cancel this crafting recipe. That's not going to stop the seeds. I want to pick these seeds up because I want to stop this thing. Okay, that's good. And then we're just going to throw these back in the system. Now that it works, let's talk about crystal growth accelerators. Now, the problem with these things is that whether you're using them or not, they're draining power. Each one is draining 8 AE per tick. Okay? And if you have this many, and especially if you had another row on top, that's a lot of power. Draining constantly. Now, what we'd really like to do is turn these off and have them only on when we're crafting. When we're crafting the crystals. That way, when we're not using it, it won't be draining our power. Because you're not going to have a creative energy source like I am. So, there is a very simple way to do that. Well, we need a few more devices. What we need are the ME toggle bus, which is this little thing, and the ME level emitter. And for this, we're also going to need a crafting card. So let's see how to make these. Now, first, what do they do? The ME toggle bus disconnects parts of a network when it gets a redstone signal, whether it gets a redstone signal or not. Okay? The standard toggle bus, which is what this is, will have everything on the other side of it is disconnected until it has a redstone signal. So we have a creative energy cell down here, but you'll notice that this crystal growth accelerator is off. If I give the toggle bus a redstone signal, you can see that the light comes on and this gets power. There's also an inverted one, which works in the opposite fashion. It's always on unless you give it a redstone signal. But for this demonstration, for this purpose, we need the regular one. Then there's the ME level emitter. The level emitter emits a redstone signal based on various parameters that you can set. And that's what we're going to use in order to activate or deactivate the toggle bus. So let's see how to craft these things. The ME toggle bus is crafted very simply with a lever, 2 ME glass cables, and 2 redstone dust. Boom. Very simple. The level emitter is crafted using a calculation processor and a redstone torch. So again, it's quite simple to make. And then for this, we're going to need a crafting card to put in our level emitter. And to craft that, you need a basic card and a crafting table. Okay? Very simple. Now let's take a look at our level emitter and we can see what settings it has. This allows you to set an amount of an item, and you can take any item and place it over there. Okay? So when it has an item in it, and we set an amount, we can then change the redstone mode. So it can emit when the levels of the item are above or equal to the limit that you set. It can emit a redstone signal when levels are below that limit. Yeah, those are the two options. Emit when levels are above, emit when levels are equal. And you can change the level type from an item to energy. And you can put any item that you want in here and set any amount. Now, we don't want that. Now, this is very useful for setting up auto crafting to keep a certain amount of an item in your system at all times. Because the level emitter will turn on or off depending on how many you have, and so you can activate an auto crafting system. Just like a passively always on one. However, if we slap a crafting card in here, I have one in here, we get more options. We get this little, it's now a crafting emitter. So, it can emit a redstone while the item is crafting, or it can emit redstone to craft the item. Basically, it gets rid of the original function and makes it a crafting emitter. So in this setting, this thing would emit a redstone signal while we're crafting whatever item I put in there. And that's the setting that we're going to use. So let me take this out. Let me grab the items that are in here. Gonna need some cable as well. And let's go set this thing up. So we're going to use this setup right here to demonstrate. What we want to do is we want to put a level emitter, a toggle bus right here. So let's break it. Place the toggle bus. Wait, that'll put it on this block. I don't want it on that block. I want the toggle bus to be on this block. So we'll place our quartz fiber. We'll place our block of cable. We'll place our toggle bus. And then we'll connect it. So as you can see, it's not connected, even though previously it was, because of the toggle bus. Now, and this isn't efficient because we place this right up against it, but I've got this. We'll do it here this way. We need 3 level emitters. Okay. The reason we need 3 level emitters, and actually I need 3 crafting cards, so I should have grabbed some more crafting cards. Let's just grab 2 more crafting cards out of here. Is because we need 1 level emitter for each of our crystal types. Okay? So we're going to go in. Oh, I don't want to place another level emitter. I need to get that out of my hand. We're going to go in here and we're going to place a crafting card. We're going to place pure Certus quartz. We're going to make sure that it's emitting redstone while crafting. We're going to place a crafting card in here. We're going to place pure nether quartz. We're going to place a crafting card in here and place pure fluix crystal. Then we need to drag a line of redstone, or, whatever you want to use. you could technically place this anywhere on your network and use like a P2P panel, depending on where this is, and where you want to put those. They don't have to be this close together, but because ours is, we can do this. And now this will work. When this has a redstone signal, because it doesn't matter, as long as one of these is active, we can have this active, so you don't have to like separate these lines. And it's going into this block. So once this lights up, this will activate and these will be powered. So if we go in here and we tell it to craft like 10 pure fluix and hit start, as soon as the crafting job is initiated, the fluix level emitter turns on because we're crafting it, which activates the toggle bus, which powers everything on this side and allows the formation plane to spit the seeds out. So there's the seeds, and it's working. We can see the little bubbles coming off the seeds, which means that they're growing and that they're being accelerated. And it's working perfectly. Now, once those are finished crafting, the level emitter will turn off. As soon as this crafting job is finished, this level emitter will deactivate. This will cut, and these will no longer be using any power. So in your survival world, I highly recommend this upgrade. It is going to be a little expensive just because you know, you have to spend a few more resources. You're going to need some more processors, but really it's necessary because you can't have these drawing your power all the time, because if you're not in a situation like this where you have infinite energy, you're not going to have infinite energy in survival. So you're not going to want to have these on all the time, especially if you decide to use this many of them, which you really don't need to do. So it was a little bit bumpy when it wasn't working, but it's actually a good thing that it didn't work at first, because we figured out the fix. So if that happens to you, you can fix it. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of our automatic system here. I will link in the description to the original tutorial that I've used. Stay tuned for future episodes. I'm SentinalH, and I'm signing out.